Geistigkeit. What du glaubst, dass ich beiße gewesen bin, dass ich kaum meine Gabe.
Following the end of the great tragedy that was World War II, mass hysteria spread like wildfire amongst the paranoid society, generating an abundance of conspiracy theories and rumours, like, did Hitler really kill himself, or did he just flee to Argentina? Was Pearl Harbor provoked by Roosevelt to enrage the US public into accepting his war? And most importantly, what was Asuka doing for Germany during World War II? Now, it might seem like a stigma that I'm accusing a 14-year-old German nationalist as part of Germany's war efforts, but in the world of Evangelion, my claims aren't exactly far-fetched, because I've got a theory, and although it's pretty shit, it's still pretty awesome. So, my theory is that Asuka was an artificially created human, similar to Rei, made by the Nazi Party, as both part of their real-world genetic manipulation experiments done by scientists like Joseph Mengele, and fictional memory-altering experiments. As well, the Evangelion world is much more technologically advanced than the real world, in the level which the Nazi Party would have been able to clone human life would pale in comparison to Nerve, obviously due to the difference in time. There are many Asukas in the fish tank, which would have all stemmed from an original Asuka, because she wouldn't have been as complex of a being as Rei. And from this fish tank, the many Asukas were utilised by the German army as a spy legion, partaking in political espionage for the Gestapo. She would have been a perfect spy due to her multinational background and age. Now, as simplified as that was, it just sounds like something I made up on this high, but let me just get into some depth, because hopefully y'all can realise it when I just take a step back. Asuka, though an original human being, was taken by German scientists following the death of her mother and her father leaving her at a young age. When Asuka was taken, Hitler was just starting to gain power in Germany, so Asuka wouldn't have been sent to an internment camp, but rather she would have been adopted by an orphanage, or maybe even a scientist close to her mother, because she was a German scientist. These scientists would have been Nazi sympathisers. They would have been in the pole position to spread propaganda to Asuka during her developmental period. But as the Nazi Party's totalitarian regime grew, Asuka, as Japanese, American, and German, was far from the perfect Aryan, so she would have been sent to a concentration camp if it wasn't for the adoptive German scientist parents. You see, the original genetic manipulation experiments would have been for cloning as many people as possible. The people the Nazi Party would have been looking to clone were the Aryans with blonde hair and blue eyes. This could be seen as an early form of the human instrumentality project to make every human share the same soul, but for this project, an Aryan child would have never been used as the guinea pig. So, Asuka was instead, both sparing her life and being proven useful to the Nazi Party. Interestingly enough, Asuka's mother's name was named after a ship belonging to the Nazi Navy, the Graf Zeppelin. This is subliminal messaging demonstrating that Asuka's origins belonged to the German military. A counter-argument for this theory is that Asuka wouldn't have been able to stay alive in an LCL tank post-World War II until 2015. However, one thing you haven't thought about is that people don't age in LCL tanks. But let's not get distracted at what Asuka was doing in World War II. You see, the Red Orchestra was an operation performed by the Gestapo to rout anti-Nazi resistance groups, which Asuka in the world of Evangelion was a part of, due to her youth and the fact that she possesses Asian genes. She would have been able to infiltrate many families and resistance groups looking for protection from Nazi prosecution. Several Asukas could have been deployed across several countries and cities for this task, like Warsaw. From then on, she would have been able to escape the house or use resistance groups' radios to alert the Gestapo into the locations of anti-Nazi sympathisers and resistance groups. These activities would have carried on until the end of the war. Now, Asuka would have been able to stay in a Nazi bunker until the Second Impact, which would have destroyed many records behind Asuka's original existence. And when Nerve HQ in Germany came across her, they wouldn't have cared where she came from, as long as she was an artificial human who could connect to other artificial humans, being angels. And then they're obviously able to change her memories, because Nerve are definitely capable of doing that, as shown throughout the show, to suit their agenda. Except Asuka's extreme psychological traumas, like her mother's death, wasn't able to be erased from her memory, so they simply changed the details behind it. So yeah, that's my theory. And let's not forget that Evangelion 2.0 takes place in a separate continuity of Evangelion, so my theory is technically canon, no matter how shit it was. And also, for most of my videos, I try to come up with as much of a ridiculous idea as I can for a character